So what if the real key to unlocking some of the most puzzling ancient stories wasn't buried in a history book, but in a physics textbook? I know, it sounds a little out there, but that's exactly what we're going to explore today. We're looking at a pretty fascinating idea, that Jesus's parables can be seen through the really surprising lens of quantum mechanics. Okay, so first things first, we have to get our heads around the central puzzle of the parables themselves. And honestly, this quote right here, it just nails it. These were never meant to be simple little stories with a tidy moral at the end. Nope. They were designed to be, well, enigmatic, to kind of hide their meaning right in plain sight, demanding that we, the listeners, have to get involved to participate, to actually complete them. It's less of a story and more of an invitation to interact.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll dive into those enigmatic parables. Then we'll bring in that surprising quantum lens. From there, we'll connect the two, looking at parables as measurement devices. That'll lead us to see the kingdom as a kind of field. And finally, we'll wrap up with what this all means for a totally new view of what's called quantum discipleship.
Okay, let's jump right in with the parables. You know, a lot of us grew up with these stories, we think we know them, but let's look a little closer at the specific images Jesus uses when he's talking about the kingdom of God. Because once you do, you start to see this really interesting theme emerge. It's always about something hidden, something small that holds this incredible world-changing potential.
Yeah, when you lay them out like this, a really clear pattern just jumps out at you, right? You've got the mustard seed. It's the smallest, most overlooked thing, but it grows into this huge tree. It's all about challenging our ideas of power. Then there's the leaven, or yeast. It's hidden in the dough. You don't even see it, but it transforms the entire batch from the inside. And the hidden treasure, I mean, it's already there just waiting. But once you find it, it demands everything. You have to completely reorient your life around it. So the main takeaway here, the really crucial point, is this. The kingdom in these stories isn't some passive thing we just sit around and wait for. Not at all. It's a potential that absolutely requires our interaction to become real. The seed has to be planted, the yeast has to be mixed in, the treasure has to be dug up. The stories are practically screaming at us that our response is what brings that potential into the world. So hang on to that idea, potential that needs interaction. All right, so now we're going to make a bit of a pivot. We're about to bring in a few key ideas from quantum mechanics. And hey, don't worry, I promise this isn't about to become a heavy physics lecture. We're just borrowing a few concepts, a few ways of thinking, that are going to give us a really powerful new lens to look at everything we just talked about.
First up is this wild concept called superposition. The easiest way to think about it is with a spinning coin. While it's in the air, spinning, is it heads or tails? Well, in a way, it's kind of both. Quantum particles are just like that. They exist in this cloud of all their possible states at the same time. And the key thing is, it's not that we just don't know the answer. It's that an answer doesn't exist yet. It's just a state of pure, unadulterated potential.
And that brings us directly to the observer effect. So what happens to that spinning coin when you slam your hand down on it? Well, you force it to pick a side, right? It becomes either heads or tails. That act of measuring it collapses all that potential into one single definite reality. And in the quantum world, this is huge. It means observation isn't a passive act of just looking. It's an interaction that literally creates the outcome. And finally, let's touch on entanglement. You've probably heard of this one. It's what Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. So imagine you have two of those special quantum coins, and they're linked. If you send one to the other side of the galaxy and measure it and it comes up heads, you instantly know, faster than light, that the other one is tails. They're connected in this really deep, mysterious way. Just tuck that idea away for a bit. It'll be important. Okay, so here's where we start to build the bridge. This is the fun part. What happens when we take these bizarre, fascinating ideas from physics and lay them right on top of those ancient parables we started with? So let's just pose the big question, the one that frames this whole explainer. What if a parable isn't just a story at all? What if it actually functions like a quantum experiment, like a device that's designed to measure something? And this is the absolute core of the analogy, right here on the slide. Look, on one side, you've got quantum physics. A system exists in superposition, that cloud of potential, until an observer comes along and their measurement collapses it into one single outcome. Okay, then on the other side, you have a parable. The meaning of the kingdom is also a cloud of potential until a person's engagement, their faith, their action collapses that potential into a real lived experience. The parallel is,
Well, it's pretty striking, isn't it? This completely changes the role of the person hearing the story. It puts the listener in an incredibly powerful and responsible position. Just like the quote says, once you hear a parable, you're on the hook. You've become the observer. And just like in quantum physics, your interaction now determines the outcome. It's up to you whether the kingdom stays as just a nice idea, just potential, or if you're going to collapse it into a real manifest reality through what you do. Okay, so if these parables are acting like measurement devices, then what in the world are they measuring? And this question leads to the first really huge implication of this whole analogy. It asks us to shift our thinking about the kingdom away from it being a place and towards it being a field. So what exactly is a field in physics? Well, think of it like a Wi-Fi signal. The signal itself is everywhere in the room, right? It's a silent potential. You can't see it, you can't grab it, but you know it's there because it has the power to influence things, like your phone. In physics, particles are seen as just little local moments where the energy of that underlying field becomes visible, kind of like your phone screen lighting up when it finds a signal. And as this quote points out, thinking about it this way is a total game changer. If the kingdom of God is like a field, then it's not some distant territory we're trying to get to someday. No, it's a dynamic, relational reality that's already here. It's everywhere, all the time, just like that Wi-Fi signal, universally present even if most of us don't recognize it or aren't tuned into it. Now, go back to those original parables with this field metaphor, and suddenly they light up in a whole new way. The mustard seed isn't just a seed anymore. It's like a tiny excitation of the kingdom field that causes a ripple effect, and its influence just spreads outward. The leaven, that's the field's own energy, invisibly working its way through and transforming everything. And that hidden treasure becomes a localized, super concentrated manifestation of the field's infinite value, just sitting there waiting to be discovered. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's get practical. If the kingdom is a field and the parables are how we measure it, then what does that make us? What is our role as the observers in this whole grand experiment? This really is the ultimate practical question, isn't it? If we roll with this analogy, if we say the kingdom is this pervasive field of divine potential, and the parables are basically invitations to measure it, then what on earth does it mean to actually be a disciple? Well, it means discipleship becomes this process of active measurement. Step 1, the potential is already there. The kingdom, the field, is all around us. Step 2, a person engages. They perform an act of compassion or justice or simple faith. And step 3, that action is the measurement. It collapses the potential of the kingdom into something tangible, something visible, right here and now. All of a sudden, even our smallest choices have this incredible reality-shaping power. And you can see how the implications just spiral outwards from here. Remember entanglement? Well, maybe a community of believers is like an entangled system, where the spiritual state of one person really does influence everyone else. It could also change how we see God's action, not as a big intervention from the outside, but as a subtle shaping of the field of possibilities. And it totally reframes the end times. Maybe the future kingdom isn't some brand new thing arriving, but the full revealing of a reality that's been here all along. And that brings us to this final, provocative thought. At the end of the day, this isn't just a clever intellectual game. It's a profound invitation. It suggests that our role, a disciple's role, is to be a conscious participant in collapsing divine potential into actual lived experience. It reframes our entire world as a place just saturated with possibility. The field is here, the potential is infinite, and so the moment to measure it into reality is now.